Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something lots of you are probably thinking about. Getting better sleep,
Yeah.
so you have more energy for the day. If you're anything like us, you've likely looked for ways to, well, make your evenings a bit more sleep-friendly.
Definitely.
So our mission today is to really explore some effective things you could actually show and talk about. If you were, say, creating a YouTube podcast focused on nighttime routines and, crucially, understand why these tips work.
Exactly. We've looked at some really helpful suggestions, and yeah, the focus is on what works for like engaging videos that genuinely help people optimize their sleep.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in then.
Yeah.
So the first big one our sources mention is limiting screen time before bed.
Right.
They suggest turning off smartphones, PCs, tablets, about an hour before you actually want to sleep. Now, we all love a good scroll, so what's the real reason here?
Well, it really comes down to the blue light, the light that comes from our screens.
Oh.
That light basically stimulates your brain. It sort of tricks it into thinking it's still daytime.
Oh, okay.
And that interferes with melatonin production. Melatonin is the hormone your body naturally makes to help you feel sleepy. So stepping away from screens lets your brain kind of naturally wind down, lets the drowsiness happen.
That makes total sense. You're basically telling your body, hey, it's nighttime now. Okay, another suggestion is taking a warm bath. Not hot, but warm, like 38 to 40 Celsius for maybe 15, 20 minutes. Lots of us find baths relaxing, sure, but how does that specifically help with sleep?
So this one's pretty interesting. It's about your body's core temperature.
Okay.
The warm water raises your temperature slightly. Then when you get out, your body starts to cool down. And that drop in temperature, that's actually a signal to your system that it's time to get sleepy.
Oh, wow. Like how it cools down outside in the evening.
Exactly like that. And yeah, you mentioned the relaxation. That's definitely a big plus too.
Can't argue with relaxation. Now, here's one I found a bit surprising. Briefly writing a to-do list for the next day. How does thinking about tomorrow's tasks help you sleep tonight?
I know, it sounds a bit counterintuitive, right? But think about when you're lying there trying to sleep.
Yeah, mind racing.
Exactly. Your mind starts going through everything you need to do, all the worries, the tasks. So by quickly jotting them down, you're sort of parking those thoughts.
Getting them out of your head.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You organize them, reassure your brain you won't forget. It helps quiet that mental chatter that keeps so many people awake.
That's actually a really practical tip.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, engaging in some light stretching or yoga. Light being the key word, I guess.
Yes, definitely light. We're not talking a full workout here.
Right.
Gentle stretching helps release muscle tension, from sitting all day or stress. But maybe more importantly, it helps regulate your autonomic nervous system.
Okay, what does that mean in simple terms?
It basically helps shift your body into rest and digest mode. That's the parasympathetic system taking over from the fight or flight one. And that shift directly improves sleep quality. You might notice your breathing slow down, heart rate calm down.
So calming the body to calm the mind. Makes sense. What about reading a physical book or maybe writing in a diary? Kind of old school, but does it work?
Absolutely. I mean, the big difference is you're avoiding that stimulating blue light from screens again.
Good point.
Engaging with paper, whether reading or writing, is just gentler on the brain before bed. It lets that natural drowsiness creep in. And like the sources mentioned, journaling is also great for processing emotions. Getting thoughts or worries onto paper can stop them swirling around when you're trying to sleep.
That's a really good point about emotional processing.
Mm.
Okay, let's hit two big ones. Caffeine and alcohol. Avoid them 3 to 4 hours before bed. Why that specific window?
Well, both caffeine and alcohol can seriously mess up your sleep quality. Caffeine's a stimulant, obviously. It makes it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
You're right. No surprise there.
And alcohol, well, it might make you feel sleepy initially, kind of knocks you out, but it actually leads to really fragmented, poor quality sleep later in the night. You often wake up more.
Yeah, I think many people have experienced that. Okay, moving to the bedroom environment itself. Dimming the lights, using warmer tones like indirect lamps instead of bright overheads.
This ties right back to melatonin again.
The sleep hormone.
Exactly. Low, warm light signals evening to your brain, much like natural sunset. This encourages melatonin production, telling your body it's time to prepare for sleep.
Got it. And along the same lines, what about using relaxing scents like lavender or chamomile? Does aromatherapy actually help?
It seems so. Our sense of smell is quite powerfully linked to our nervous system. Scents like lavender, chamomile, They've been shown to help activate that calming parasympathetic nervous system we talked about.
Okay, interesting. So it's another way to nudge the body towards relaxation.
Precisely.
Another pillar mentioned is consistency, going to bed around the same time each night, even on weekends, which is the tough part.
Yeah, that weekend lie-in can be tempting. But consistency is key for setting your body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm.
Right.
Going to bed and waking up roughly the same time helps your body learn when to feel tired and when to feel alert. It makes falling asleep much more natural.
Makes sense, even if it's hard sometimes. Okay, one last suggestion. Reflecting on gratitude or positive things before sleep sounds lovely, but is there a practical sleep benefit?
There really is. Think about it. Lying in bed, worrying or replaying negative stuff from the day, that's a recipe for staying awake.
True.
By consciously focusing on things you're grateful for, or just nice moments, you shift your mental state. You foster calm and peace, making it way easier to drift off.
So quite a few powerful tools there. Now, thinking about actually making that YouTube podcast, the sources really emphasize showing these routines.
Yeah, visually demonstrating them.
Right, like actually dimming the lights on camera or doing a few gentle stretches, maybe brewing chamomile tea while you explain why it works. Viewers seem to respond well to seeing it in action.
Exactly. It makes the advice feel more real, more achievable. People can picture themselves doing it. That visual element combined with the why is really effective.
Okay, so for you, the listener, thinking about this, remember, you don't have to tackle all of these at once if you're making content, or even for yourself.
Good point.
Maybe pick 2 or 3 that seem doable or interesting to you. Start there, build the habit, and if you're making that YouTube podcast, sharing that gradual process could be really relatable.
Absolutely. And that actually leads to a good final thought for you to ponder. Considering all these different elements, the screens, the bath, the lists, the scents, consistency, which ones do you think would actually resonate most powerfully with a YouTube audience today? Which visuals and explanations would really hook people looking for better sleep and a more productive tomorrow? Something to think about.